Let's start the podcast. You're listening to episode 6 of Off the Cliff Sports. I'm your host, Cliff Jacks. Thank you for listening in again this week. We had a lot of things go on this past week we're going to get into. Plus, it's All-Star Weekend. Charlotte, North Carolina is the destination. Are you going? Let's get it. Remember, you can reach us at OfftheCliff-Sports.podbean.com. Twitter account is at Cliff_Sports. Instagram, OfftheCliff_Sports. Comments, questions, bring it to us and we're going to get back at you. Last week, we had the beginning of the AAF Football League, Alliance of American Football. And the first game we saw was very exciting. It was hard-hitting, new rules that are really catchy, camera angles that were great. We got to listen to the play calls. We got to listen to the replay booth. Things that the NFL really needs to pay close attention to. That was a big weekend. It was a big kickoff. The cities that those 8 teams are in, the 4 that hosted this first week of games, they had nice crowds. I think the attendance was about where they would think it would be. I myself caught 2.5 of the games. Sunday, I kind of was out about, so I didn't get to see all the games on Sunday. But the players are not all NFL caliber players, so we should know that if they were, they would probably be in the NFL. But we saw a lot of talent that could be on a roster that's not on the NFL roster. So I think the AFL has a chance, but we're going to talk about the AAF versus the XFL versus the NFL a little bit later on in the show. We're going to get further into it, and does one of the 2 new leagues have staying power, or are they just run-about-the-mill leagues that'll die out in a year or 2? Who knows? We're going to get into it and we'll find out. A little bit later, hopefully we have a guest, if we can get them on the line, let them talk a little bit about the AAF and also a big trade request that was made this past week. Transitioning over to the NBA, All-Star Weekend is upon us, so we know what time that is. It's almost time to get ready for the playoffs when basketball really begins. In the NBA this past week, we had 2 records that were broken. A lot of people didn't think these records probably would get touched again, the way the game works now. But James Harden has scored over 30 points in a large number of games. Pretty much he's had to do it because Chris Paul has been out a lot. Clint Capella has been out. So really, everything revolved around James Harden, and he was able to get things done. His team has a 21-9 record in those previous 30 games, and he was over 30 points in all of them. James Harden does shoot a high volume of shots, but that's how their offense works in Houston. So he's doing what his coaches ask. He also distributes the ball. He also gets some rebounds. So the only thing he probably could do better is play defense, which to me, that's non-existent. But hey, congratulations to James Harden on a record that has stood for over 10, 20 years, I believe. Michael Jordan was the last one to have a record of that magnitude. The second record that was broken, Russell Westbrook, the OKC Thunder point guard, managed his 10th triple-double in a row, breaking a record that was held by Wilt Stilt. This record, of course, is another one of those records people were like, wow, 10 triple doubles in a row. Some people say he goes out his way to get those triple doubles, but his team is winning when he get those triple doubles. Within that streak, they were 9-1, if I'm not mistaken, in the 10 games that he got the triple double record in. So OKC right now is one of the teams to beat in the Western Conference. So all the people that saying, hey, he's hard to play with, he shoots too much, I think he's letting his record speak for itself. It's amazing that he's working on his third year in a row, averaging a triple double. And to me, this year has been better than the first two. The first year, he was angry. Kevin Durant left out of like a thief in the night. So he wants to prove, hey, I can still get this team to the playoffs without Kevin Durant. And triple-double Russ was invented. Last year, the triple-double wasn't even talked about a lot because of James Harden, and he was putting up astronomical numbers in Houston. But Russell did manage that triple-double. And this year, he's doing it even better because everybody on the team, Paul George, Jeremy Grant, Steven Adams, all those guys are playing at a higher rate than they have ever played. And it's one reason because of Russell's sacrifice. He's not shooting as much. He's deferring to other people. He's letting other people get their opportunity to shine. And it's only making him look better as a player, if you ask me. Is Russell a top 5 player? I don't know. I think he's a top 5 player. A lot of people will say I'm crazy. They're going to put Steph Curry above him, James Harden above him, Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek freak, above him. I don't know about that, though. For his size and his ability, I think he's a top 5 player. Hey, send me your comments. Twitter, Instagram, Podbean. Send me your comments. Let me know what you think. Is Russell Westbrook a top 5 player? I'm waiting on your responses so I can give you my feedback. On the college level, we had National Signing Day this past week. And of course, that's a big time for college or soon to be college athletes and colleges that have spent lots of money to try to get these athletes on their campus. Hopefully, this is legal money. In football, of course, which is the biggest sports billion-dollar industry, Alabama was the top recruiting class, which is a norm. Most kids know if you go to Alabama, you sit and wait a couple years, there's a good chance you're going to make it to the NFL. Alabama followed by Georgia. And third this year was the Texas Longhorns, team I don't like. But they have started recruiting their own state again, which is a good thing. For a while there, a lot of Texas athletes have went to A&M, which came in fourth, or they've left the state. Some went to Oklahoma. They came in sixth in the rankings for top recruiting classes. And others have went to other schools within the SEC, which is the most powerful conference in college football. The team that won the national championship this past year in college football, the Clemson Tigers, actually came in with the 10th best recruiting class. Kind of a down year for those guys over there in Clemson, South Carolina. The Michigan Wolverines, who are the Big Ten's hope, most years their only hope, now that Urban Meyer has retired from Ohio State, their recruiting class came in at 8th. Jim Harbaugh has yet to bring that national title to Michigan, which a lot of people thought he would be able to do. It's so tough now in college football, and Harbaugh is not the recruiter that a lot of these other coaches is. His staff doesn't bring in those marquee quarterbacks, which is one thing he's definitely missing from his recruiting. They are able to get the linemen, the defensive linemen and backs, but quarterback, wide receivers, they're missing the mark on a lot of those players, and that's keeping them from being a top class. All other sports have signing day too on that lustrous day. Basketball, softball, volleyball, but of course football takes the spotlight, and we have a lot of young kids out there who've made decisions that hopefully they can stick with. But you're so young at this age, you might pick a school, and once you finally really get on that campus, away from home, away from parents, away from friends, things change. I just hope that we can get to a point where these kids are not held to a higher standard than the coaches, because right now coaches can leave with no punishment, but players, they try to leave, they have to sit out and miss years. So we got to get away from that and stop the double standard of NCAA college sports that we have now. We got a lot of new things that have came up to talk about, so we're going to get into a lot of that after this quick break. I'll be back with you, and we're going to hit the NFL some more. We're going to talk about the NBA All-Star Weekend, and we'll discuss what's what with the Alliance of American Football League. You're listening to Off the Cliff Sports with your host Cliff Jacks, a show for the everyday Joe, hosted by an everyday Cliff. Guys, we had a lot of things pop off in the NFL this week. The Cleveland Browns was the first team to go out and say, hey, Kareem Hunt is a stud. I know he beat up a girl and all, but hey, let's bring him into our organization. The Browns signed Kareem Hunt this week for a one-year contract. We don't know what Kareem Hunt's suspension is going to be from the NFL. Roger Goodell, not a person we all like, says the NFL is still reviewing the case and they will bring a decision sometime. Knowing the NFL, that decision may not come until 2020. We have no clue. But back to the story. So the Browns GM was the GM in Kansas City the year before, and he is familiar with Kareem Hunt. So he said his organization did do their due diligence, and they brought Kareem Hunt onto the roster. This subject is a fireball. You have a lot of people that say Kareem Hunt should be banned because of his actions. Actually, you even have a few players, I believe, that I heard say this is not the type of player we need in our league. But you have those other fans that say everybody needs a second chance. I really don't know where I stand on the situation because, I mean, football is his livelihood. That's what he do for a living. That's just like a police officer. That's his first line of work is being a police officer. So if he got fired by one force and was not ever able to get another police job, that's kind of a tough transition, I guess. But you have to be accountable for your actions. Kareem Hunt, in the situation he was in, he could stand and got a big payday was coming his way. And some of his actions off the court, or off the field, rather, I'm sorry, he has to justify and he has to stay in the line of fire and take responsibility for his actions. With the Cleveland Browns being that team, you can definitely tell because of the success, you could call it, of Baker Mayfield, the youth on that team, the new coach that they brought in, they feel that now is their time to make that push to become relevant in the NFL. And them going out and getting a guy in the situation that Hunt is in just lets us know to the Browns it's football over everything. Right there, it shows the selfishness of that organization in saying, hey, us winning is more important than what happens out in everyday life. I mean, I think Kareem probably should get a second chance, but definitely I would say he would need to sit out a whole year so we can really find out how remorseful he is. He is a great player, and I really would like him on the Broncos if you ask me, but I don't know if I could have had my GM go out and say, hey, let's pick up this guy here and bring him on the roster at this time. That issue is still a sore subject because if he had still been with the Kansas City Chiefs, the AFC Championship game could have been different. It could have been very different if he was on that roster. What do you guys think? Send me a tweet, email me, send me a message through Podbean. Let me know what's your thoughts of the Kareem Hunt situation. While we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and their former running back, the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback, Mr. Patrick Mahomes, was spotted playing pickup basketball the other day. He was out there hooping it up, and it looks like he got some game. But the GM for the Kansas City Chiefs told Patrick Mahomes, son, we need you to sit that down and just shoot the ball and no more running full court games of basketball. When you're a star quarterback in the NFL and you have so much publicity around you, playing pickup basketball, which is not your primary sport, may not be the best idea. Although, if you get my opinion, hey, he's doing something he likes. He's staying active. He's staying energized because as soon as he go to OTAs, he could pull a hamstring, he can tear a ligament, ACL, MCL, and he's still going to be out of action. So if a player is doing something that he likes and he's used to doing, I honestly don't see the problem with it. But I guess the fact that you are in line to make millions and millions of dollars, I guess the Chiefs GM said, hey, we'd rather you hurt yourself doing something football related than non-football related. So I can't blame him for that situation. But most of the times, players, when they're doing things they like, they don't necessarily get hurt. But when they start changing their routine, that's when something happens. When they get out of their norm and do something different, is a lot of times when you see players get hurt when it's not actually in the midst of actual live action. So I think Pat might want to sit it down because he got $100 million just waiting on him in a year or so. $100 million plus. I know his family's going to enjoy that. I'm a Broncos fan, so hey, I don't care if the Chiefs win or lose. I'm going for the Denver Broncos when it comes to them and the Chiefs. I have a lot of Kansas relatives that probably are listening in. They're going to refute that statement I made, but hey, Broncos for life. I know you guys say Chiefs for life. Good luck. Antonio Brown, Antonio Brown. This week, Antonio Brown requested a trade from the Pittsburgh Steelers. A combustible situation has just reached the tip. Apparently, Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger don't see eye to eye, and things have kind of boiled over between the two. Although Big Ben said he don't have a problem and there's no issues, we all know the truth. Antonio Brown went about it using social media to request his trade instead of the old-fashioned have his agent talk to the GM and the owner and let him know that he's ready to get out of the city of Pittsburgh. Antonio Brown is one of the two best receivers in the game, along with Julio Jones. 1 and 2 is debatable. And he definitely is a difference maker on any team that he goes to. Whether or not he's a difference maker in the sense of winning a Super Bowl. As we saw, the Patriots won the Super Bowl with Julian Edelman as their best receiver. So, I mean, receivers are good for regular season. Receivers can win games. At the end of the day, it takes a team to win that Super Bowl, not necessarily just one good receiver. I don't know where this situation went wrong. I think the Le'Veon Bell situation had something to play with it. And I think the way that went down, Antonio Brown probably was like, wow, if they're doing one of the best running backs in the NFL this way, they definitely do the same thing to me. So that situation is very stagnant. I think Antonio Brown could do well with a lot of different teams. If somehow Antonio Brown could get to the Los Angeles Rams, him and his social media aspect of his life and how he likes to be flamboyant and out there with a young coach like Sean McVay who is energized and energetic, I think that situation could put the Rams in a real good situation. The offense is already potent. Adding a player like Antonio Brown to the offense, wow, we're talking about the greatest show on turf fireworks again. reunited. But really, what Pittsburgh can get from Antonio Brown or for Antonio Brown, I don't really know. I think he's probably third round, second round, possibly because he still has, if you ask me, maybe 2, 3 strong years left. Because he doesn't take a lot of hits. He knows how to catch the ball. He knows how to get down without taking a lot of the physical punishment. He works hard in the off season, we know as well, because it's all over social media. So he does put in the work. If I'm one of those teams who think I'm right there and I can give away the right draft picks, the right players, and not damage the team, hey, I would definitely go make that call to see what I can do to get Antonio Brown. Now, was he the best teammate here this last season? That's the question. And the way things played out towards the end of the year, I think there was a lot of things that Antonio Brown as a person could have did different. But nowadays, selfishness is very strong in the world of professional sports. It's all about me more than the team, and sometimes I agree with the players because right now the owners have an advantage. These NFL owners, they are able to do things, they're able to cut players without paying them. So sometimes you got to be selfish. Now, hurting your teammates in the process, I don't know how that goes over. So we definitely will see where this plays out. I think the Rams, I would like to see them there to try to see what type of fireworks go down. I don't personally see it happening though. I could also see somewhere like the Washington Redskins. I could see somewhere like the Indianapolis Colts or even maybe the Tennessee Titans as a player in the Antonio Brown sweepstakes. Remains to be seen. Hopefully, I can get a caller on the line and let him put his 2 cents in on a little later and let us know what he thinks about that situation as well. A lot to play out in this scenario with Antonio Bryant. We're going to come back and we're going to go ahead and enter our wonderful segment as we call Top of the Cliff. Give me about 10 seconds. We'll be back with Top of the Cliff and who is going to join us on that segment today. You're listening to Off the Cliff Sports. Your host Cliff Jacks here, and I want to apologize for last week. We did not bring you Top of the Cliff. I know a lot of you guys probably like listening to that segment, and I definitely apologize for it not happening last week. This week, I'm kind of torn. I wanted to bring the general manager of the Cleveland Browns, John Dorsey, to the Top of the Cliff with me. But before we got to this segment, I had some other disturbing information. And one of my favorite players in the NBA of all times, I'm going to have to bring Scottie Pippen to the Top of the Cliff to join me. Scottie Pippen on a show earlier said that LeBron James can't hold a torch to Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. Now, I think he was talking hopefully only about the clutch gene. But this one Scottie Pippen, a year, maybe 2 years ago, said that LeBron James was the best player. And he think LeBron James was a better player all around than Michael Jordan. So, if you're like me, you're hearing two different things, and it kind of confusing. Scotty, are you going to say LeBron's the best player, or are you going to say Michael's the best player? From what I hear, you even threw Kobe Bryant in the discussion today, so now you're all over the place. Being that you're my favorite player, Scottie Pippen, of all time, I've loved you growing up from beginning, those days you lost to the end, those days in Portland, that time we lost the championship. We would have won the NBA title if you guys had been able to close Game 7 out against the Lakers. Even that fiasco in Houston, you, Charles Barkley, and Akeem, when y'all were at the end of y'all careers for the most part. Scotty, I want you to come to the top of the cliff and join me because us everyday fans, Everyday Joes, Everyday Cliff. We don't know where you stand right now. So, brother, please join me, Scotty, on the top of the cliff and make up your mind. Thank you. Scotty, this is for you. All right, we got a caller on the line here. We have Muhammad. He called in a few weeks ago and he predicted the Patriots would win the Super Bowl. He was correct. He picked Brady for MVP, but I think a lot of us was wrong on that one, so we're not going to blame him for that. We're going to ask Muhammad a couple questions today. We're going to first start off with this Antonio Brown trade request. Muhammad, what you think about that situation?
Ooh, Antonio Brown, A Boogie. I think the Steelers need to. Actually, you know what? I don't want the Steelers to lose AB, but I think it's best they both go their ways because they don't let them get away with too much stuff, and now it's coming back to bite them, and they can't control them. And then, well, they can't control anybody on their team, to be honest.
That's correct.
You got the quarterback that's the leader of the team, throwing people under the bus. You do AD on the bus, Jimmy Washington on the bus. Right or wrong, that's not what a leader's supposed to do. So I think their relationship's not good. So probably AB needs to go. If he go to San Francisco, watch out. It's gonna be surprising. Because with Kyle Shanahan and Garoppolo and Kittle's the tight end, that's gonna be a nice offense.
So
but I think he needs to go.
That was my question. You said San Francisco. I personally said the Los Angeles Rams if they could make the right trade. What do you think about him in the nation's capital?
Washington, D.C.?
That's correct.
No. The first one is not going to happen. AB is 30 years old, so he's on the he's going towards the decline. He's not silly. So he's gonna go somewhere where they got a good offense and a good quarterback.
But he don't have the right though. It's not up to him because he don't have a no trade clause.
Oh well, watch it. But at the same time, nobody's gonna trade for somebody that's gonna be disgruntled. This is the NFL. This is not the NBA, so it's a little bit different. They ain't trading for a headache, a 30-year-old headache. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He on the decline. So the team that's gonna take him. Only gonna take him if he want to go there. They not trading for a headache.
You know, Daniel Snyder different. Snyder's a different type of owner.
Well, the one you said that I did think about, if he can get to LA, it's gonna be problems. If he can get to LA, it's gonna be. I don't see that happening. But that would be nice if maybe get to LA.
I think the 49ers got to give up a lot. The 49ers going to have to give up some real good draft picks for him that I don't know if he's worth giving up those draft picks for.
I disagree. Everybody's thinking they would be lucky to get a high first. They probably get 2 seconds. He's 30. He's 30 years old. He got a high salary cap number. They know you don't want to be there. And the NFL, out of any sport, don't play with age. He's 30. He's not getting a first round pick for him. If he was 25, yeah, he would cost the first round. Cook got a first round pick, and Cook is 24 years old. Now he ain't no AB, but he's 24 years old. They could be lucky to get a late first round. Plus his salary? Nah, man. I think he's gonna go for a second. I'll take first.
I can see.
And if I was San Francisco, I would give up a second for him. I wouldn't blink an eye. That's what they need because they don't got Goodwin. You can't depend on because he's been hurt. Plus, he stretches the field. He's not there yet. But if you could have a Goodwin on one side with Antonio Brown and then the Kittles, oh yeah.
I can see that working out for them, and they got 2 pretty good running backs as well, so I think that could work out for them. Now, on a sore subject for a lot of people, the Cleveland Browns went out and signed Kareem Hunt. Do you have a problem with them signing Hunt with all the black marks that he's put on the NFL?
I don't have a problem with him signing because everybody makes mistakes. If that was my daughter, I'd be upset myself. But I wouldn't say that man couldn't work again. Because if we're gonna start doing that, then we need to start looking at every position that everybody's doing that's doing domestic violence and say they can't work in. So doctors, teachers, lawyers, everybody. You can't just single out one sport. You got to handle it. You need to be punished. If he shows remorse, all right, give him another opportunity to earn a living. You can't keep taking livings from people. I don't agree with people say he can't play in the NFL again. He's 22 years old. He made a stupid mistake that he don't get punished for. He need to get punished for. But after he gets punished for it, and if he's sincere and contrite, let that man play and let him deal with it. You can't. Everybody want to put everybody like nobody makes mistakes. But again, you can't point a finger just at the NFL. You're going to do that, you better start pointing a finger at these CEOs that's beating them wives, doctors, lawyers, like I'm saying, because y'all better stop thinking it's only NFL players that's having this domestic violence out there. These actors, then they shouldn't get to act anymore. Musicians, come on, man, stop. It got to be, you can't single out one group. It got to be down the line for everything. And the NFL can, the NFL has their rules. First time, 16 games. Second time, you out the league. Fair enough. The rules been set. So that's what the rules are. I don't believe in one time you out. That don't make any sense.
So, I could agree with that. I do agree with that.
Yeah, and in case it's different, if you torturing somebody for years and years and beating the hell out, okay, it's different. But you won't be going to jail then. But each case is own. I don't think his case, even though it was wrong, he shouldn't be able to play in the league again. That's crazy. That don't make no sense.
All right. One last question for you. Do you think the Chiefs were crazy for releasing him in the first place?
Yes, but no. The Chiefs' reasoning behind it was because he wasn't up front with them from the get. Like, what they say supposedly is if they would have been honest with him, they would have, and I get that because if you're my employee, if something goes down and I'm defending you, and then now we find out something else goes, you making me look bad, you put me in a bad situation. So I got to be able to trust you too, and then we can ride together and go through this. But if I can't trust you and I don't know what you hiding, then you know what? It's better we go our separate ways. I love you. Best of luck to you, but we can't do it here because domestic violence is a lot of heat. So if I'm going to keep you on my team, I've got to be able to trust you and depend on you that you're going to do the right thing. And you already lied to me. I brought you in the office, and what happened? You said nothing. TMZ done hit, and I'm looking like a fool. So I didn't have a problem with the Chiefs releasing him. No.
All right, folks. So you heard from Muhammad there, fans. I appreciate him calling in and having this discussion with us. You all can comment for me, and I definitely know he looks at the comments. If you disagree with him, just let him know. You guys, we'll be back with you in a moment on Off the Cliff Sports. Thank you for your call, Muhammad, and you have a great evening. Off the Cliff Sports. If you're a member of the Tumblr program, we are on Tumblr as well. Off the Cliff Sports is how you'll find us there. NBA All-Star Week is up on us, and the All-Star game this year is in Charlotte, North Carolina. A few years back, the game was about to be taken away from Charlotte because of some of their laws that they had going. In particular, the bathroom bill, as it's called. The NBA was ready to move out of Charlotte and put the All-Star game in Las Vegas because of politics. I don't know a lot about the rules, so I can't go over that law and whether it was passed, what was not passed, but we're back to the future, 2019, and Charlotte will be hosting this year's All-Star game, and they'll be able to collect all the money and things that comes along with hosting an All-Star game. Charlotte is, from what I hear, one of those growing cities that's really popular of late. one of the most important NBA players currently, Steph Curry, is from Charlotte. So this All Star game definitely will mean a lot to him. And I personally think he's probably going to walk away with the MVP trophy because it is in Charlotte. You have Friday night, you have what was used to be called the rookies versus the sophomores. It got changed to the world versus the USA. So I'm going to pick the world to win that game. The world has a lot of shooters, and I think those shooters are going to be able to take over and win that game from the USA and the athletic ability that's on that USA team. Saturday, you have the skills challenge, the 3-point shootout, and the slam dunk contest. On the next episode, I'll let you know whether there was anything that stood out this year. I think Dennis Smith Jr. will win the slam dunk contest. That young kid got some ups, and I think he's going to win that contest going away. 3-point competition, you never know. So I'm not really going to pick a winner because I'm not sure who's going to win that. It would be nice to see Steph Curry and Seth Curry end up going head to head in the finals to see which brother is the best. That would kind of be intriguing. Let's talk a little bit about the MVP. There's only about 25 games left in the season for most teams, so we're getting down to the wire after the All-Star game. And early on in the season, James Harden, of course, name has been mentioned as MVP runaway, but the Milwaukee Bucks have the best record in the NBA. Let me repeat it for you. The Milwaukee Bucks have the best record in the NBA. And the Greek Freak is leading the show. He's putting up unbelievable numbers. He's getting better, it seems like, every game. He's shooting better. He's passing better to go along with the athletic ability that he's always had. So his name is in the running as well. But I want to bring up PG-13, Mr. Paul George himself. Paul George seems like he's finally back to the level he was at before he broke his leg a couple years back. He is scoring 30 like it's nothing. He's putting 30 points on the board like it's nothing. And he's one of the reasons I think the Oklahoma City Thunder has a real good chance of getting to the Western Conference Finals. Should he be in the MVP race? Should it be Paul George versus Giannis for the MVP race because their teams have way better records than the Rockets? Well, let me cut that. Not way better records. They have better records than the Rockets. You guys let me know what you think. Who should be the MVP at this point in the season? If my vote is in it, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Paul George because he after last year everybody thought he was leaving Oklahoma. He decided to stay, and he's making a statement this year that most people didn't see coming. He's pretty much leading along with Russell Westbrook, but he's leading the charge offensively for that team, and he always plays great defense. Let me hear your comments, your thoughts about it. NBA All-Star Weekend. Coming out of the All-Star game, we're going to be really winding down playoff placement. Who's going to be seated where? Who do you think are the top two teams in the East and the West? That's my question. Of course, in the West, you have Golden State is going to be the top team on everybody's list, or should be. But who do you think is that next team? Is it OKC? Is Russell Westbrook and Paul George, do they have the second best team in the West? Is it the Houston Rockets, who 21-9 in the last 30 games? Do they have that best team? Is it the Denver Nuggets, the young surprising team? I don't think Denver, what they're doing in the regular season, I don't think it'll translate to the playoffs because they're so young. They don't have the veteran leaders I think they would need for playoff basketball. So to me, it really boils down to Houston and their firepower on offense, or is it OKC and what they can do on the defensive end? All the switching, they can switch anybody on anyone else, and that's going to help when going up against Golden State. So Houston or OKC, you take the pick. On the Eastern side, you really have four teams. You got Philadelphia, you got Boston, you got Milwaukee, and you got Toronto. Which two of those teams are the big dogs? That's the question. Trades happen, and all those teams seem like they added a weapon here or there to help them out. When it boils down to it, myself, I'm thinking Toronto and I think Philadelphia are the two teams in the East that I would put at the top. I know Philadelphia is not having a good season versus the Celtics. They've lost 3 games to the Celtics this year. But I think in the playoffs, I think they have what it takes to get over that hump. Now, getting over Toronto's hump is another question because Kawhi Leonard has those boys playing very well. And if I had to pick today, I'm going to pick Toronto to go to the NBA Finals. Let me know your picks. Let me know what you think. Let me know who you got going to the finals. Off the Cliff Sports. We'll be back in a moment. We're going to start our quick take segment today with some non-sports news. The Amazon Corporation has decided to cancel their plans to put a headquarters in New York. They said they had too much backlash from the politicians. We told them to bring their headquarters to Texas, but they shunned us and decided to go to the Big Apple. So now they pretty much told 25,000 people that was expecting to get jobs, we're not hiring you. Amazon, always go with your first choice. In other news, LeBron James was playing the Atlanta Hawks the other night, and while at the free throw line, the fans started cheering, "Kobe's better than you." LeBron James is the king of the NBA right now. He's on the downswing. This is towards the end of his season, or his career rather. And this year hasn't been like other years. I don't know if the king is going to be able to get this Lakers team to the playoffs. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow. But hey, we all knew this was based on next year. Whatever happens over the summer in free agency will determine the King's legacy in LA. It's going to have a lot of people questioning the King on whether he moved to LA for business or a ball. That's the questions he's going to have to answer. I'm still a King fan. Not really a Lakers fan, but I respect LeBron James, his game on the court and off the court. He is a difference maker in this world that we live in today. The Alliance of American Football League started last week. They had a very successful week. Will this league be able to maintain? The president of the league said, hey, we're not competing against the NFL. We want to be partners with the NFL. I think he has a good outlook on what it's going to take to be a successful league when it comes to American-style football. For so long, it's only been college football and the NFL. We've had a number of leagues start up. Within 2-3 years, they fold. We have arena football, but of course, we all know that's totally different. You might have 1 player, 2 players a year that get out of arena and get a shot. This football league looks like it is going to be like a junior division of the NFL, because after week 1, I saw players that, they could probably play in the NFL. They just need a shot. We even saw some players that's been in the NFL before. Trent Richardson out there playing, looks like he's playing hard. Looks like, man, maybe he could be a starter or a backup running back for one of the 32 teams in the NFL. My question is, the XFL is scheduled to start up next year. Did the XFL miss the boat by starting a year later? I could see two leagues making it, one being the NFL. I don't think 3 football leagues is going to be sustainable. Even the diehard football fans have to do other things in their life. You got families, wives, kids, girlfriends, boyfriends. Which one of these 2 leagues is going to make it? We know from the start what the AAF has. Will the XFL be able to bring us something that we didn't see after that first week? Are they going to be able to pay their players more? What's going to be the thing that makes a difference? These 2 leagues are not both going to make it. My eyes will be open to see which of the 2 can succeed. Now, one thing I know, being that I do watch wrestling, Vince McMahon makes money, and he's pretty good at it. Does he have a concept now that's going to work, which did not work some years ago? We'll determine that. That'll be determined next year. Great episode this week. It was a pleasure presenting this content to you all. Thank you for listening to what we have to say. The opinions of an everyday Cliff. Remember, all the episodes are at OfftheCliff-Sports.podbean.com. If you've missed some episodes, go back and listen to it. You can comment on those, and I still comment back to you. You can email us at OfftheCliff-Sports@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is @Cliff_Sports. Very active on Twitter. Instagram handle is OfftheCliff_Sports. Posting pictures and things there. We also are on Tumblr. You can search Off the Cliff Sports and find us on Tumblr. Of course, as always, we're going to leave you guys with a quote. And this quote came from one of the best of all times, Mr. Muhammad Ali. So this is the quote that he left us with. I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. Again, I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. I want all you guys out there to live your life as a champion as well. This is your host, Cliff Jacks, Off the Cliff Sports. Until next time.